Beneath a sheet of ice so gigantic that it can literally be seen from outer space, lies one of the most mysterious and strategically important places on Earth, a frozen landmass so enormous and so unexplored that for centuries it has remained like a locked vault of secrets. And that place is Greenland, an island that appears calm and lifeless on the surface, but hides underneath it forces powerful enough to reshape global politics, global economics, and even the future direction of human civilization. When you open a world map, Greenland immediately stands out as this massive white giant sitting between North America and Europe, positioned strategically in the Arctic Ocean, roughly between 59 degrees and 83 degrees north latitude and 11 degrees to 74 degrees west longitude, making it not only the largest island on the planet, but also one of the most geographically valuable pieces of territory anywhere on Earth. And yet, for most of modern history, it has remained strangely forgotten, almost like a treasure chest buried under kilometers of frozen silence. To truly understand what is hidden under the ice of Greenland, we first need to grasp the unbelievable scale of this place. Because Greenland is not just some cold remote island with a few glaciers, it is home to the Greenland ice sheet, the second largest ice body on Earth after Antarctica, covering approximately 1.71 million square kilometers, which means almost 80% of the entire island is buried under ice so thick and so massive that in some places it reaches a depth of more than 3,000 meters. This ice sheet alone contains roughly 2.9 million cubic kilometers of ice, and scientists estimate that if all of this ice were to melt, global sea levels would rise by about 7.2 meters, enough to flood cities like New York, Mumbai, London, Shanghai, and Tokyo, completely redrawing the coastlines of the world. Imagine the tremendous unimaginable pressure of that ice pressing down on the land below, hiding entire mountain ranges, ancient river systems, valleys, and geological formations that have not seen sunlight for millions of years. But the real story, the part that makes Greenland so unbelievably important in the modern era, is not just the ice itself, but what lies hidden beneath it. Because under that frozen shield exists a land incredibly rich in natural resources. Resources so huge in scale and so valuable in today's high-tech world that global superpowers are quietly positioning themselves for influence over them. Geological surveys over the past 2 decades have revealed that Greenland contains massive reserves of rare earth elements, oil, natural gas, uranium, iron ore, copper, zinc, nickel, cobalt, graphite, gold, platinum group metals, and even precious gemstones, effectively turning this icy wilderness into one of the last great untapped resource frontiers on the planet. Let's talk about rare earth minerals first, because these are not ordinary resources like coal or iron. They are the very backbone of the modern technological age. Elements such as neodymium, dysprosium, terbium, europium, and praseodymium are absolutely essential for manufacturing smartphones, electric vehicle motors, wind turbines, solar panels, advanced military radar systems, fighter jets, precision missiles, and almost every advanced electronic device in existence today. Without rare earth minerals, there is no electric car revolution, no green energy transition, no advanced defense technology, and no future of digital innovation. And this is where Greenland becomes tremendously significant, because studies suggest that Greenland may hold some of the largest untapped rare earth reserves outside China, potentially ranking among the top 5 rare earth resource holders in the entire world. One of the most talked about deposits, the Kvanefjeld project in southern Greenland, is estimated to contain more than 1 billion tons of mineral ore, rich in rare earth oxides and uranium, with projections suggesting it could supply up to 10% of global rare earth demand for decades. Another site called Tan Breeze in eastern Greenland is believed to hold around 28 million tons of rare earth elements, making it one of the largest single rare earth deposits on Earth. To put this into perspective, global demand for rare earths in 2023 was roughly 300,000 tons per year, and experts expect that number to double to more than 600,000 tons annually by 2035. because of electric vehicles and renewable energy expansion. Suddenly, Greenland does not look like an empty frozen island anymore. It starts to look like a gigantic mineral gold mine sitting under the ice. Currently, China dominates the global rare earth market, with around 60% of worldwide mining production and nearly 85% of global processing capacity, giving Beijing enormous strategic leverage over countries like the United States, Japan, South Korea, and the European Union. Russia also holds large reserves, estimated at around 12% of global rare earth resources, mainly concentrated in Siberia. But extraction there is difficult and expensive. The United States, on the other hand, controls only about 1 to 2% of global rare earth processing. This imbalance has created massive geopolitical anxiety in the West, and Greenland is increasingly being viewed as a potential solution to break this Chinese near monopoly. But minerals are only one piece of the puzzle. Beneath Greenland's continental shelf are also believed to be colossal reserves of oil and natural gas. According to estimates by the United States Geological Survey, the Arctic region as a whole could contain around 90 billion barrels of undiscovered oil and approximately 1,670 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, and a significant portion of those potential reserves are thought to lie in waters around Greenland. Some studies suggest that Greenland alone might hold up to 17 billion barrels of oil equivalent, which would be enough to make it comparable to mid-sized oil-producing nations. As Arctic ice continues to retreat due to climate change, these resources are becoming more accessible than ever before, turning Greenland into a potential future energy powerhouse. There is also iron ore on a truly enormous scale. The Isua Iron Mine project in western Greenland is estimated to contain more than 1.1 billion tons of high-grade iron ore, potentially one of the largest undeveloped iron deposits on the planet. In addition to this, Greenland is believed to contain around 2 million tons of copper reserves, significant quantities of zinc and nickel, and large graphite deposits essential for lithium-ion batteries. Uranium deposits are another critical factor, with estimates suggesting Greenland could become one of the top 10 uranium suppliers globally if mining projects move forward. When you add all these resources together, the economic potential of Greenland runs into trillions of dollars. Now combine all of this with geography, and you begin to understand why global powers are suddenly paying very close attention. Greenland sits directly between North America and Europe, controlling key Arctic sea routes that are becoming more navigable every year as polar ice melts. The distance from Greenland to the United States is only about 2,000 kilometers, and to Europe roughly the same, making it an absolutely crucial strategic location. Around 10% of global shipping traffic could potentially pass through new Arctic routes by 2040, cutting travel time between Asia and Europe by almost 40% compared to the Suez Canal route. Whoever has influence over Greenland effectively has influence over the future highways of global trade. Politically, Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, with a population of only about 56,000 people. But this tiny population controls one of the most resource-rich lands on Earth. Denmark handles Greenland's foreign policy and defense, but Greenland has its own parliament and government and receives an annual subsidy of roughly $600 million from Copenhagen. However, there is a growing independence movement because many Greenlanders believe that if they can develop their mineral wealth, they could become financially independent and one day form a fully sovereign Arctic nation. This creates a fascinating situation where Denmark wants to maintain control, Greenland wants more autonomy, and global superpowers see a historic opportunity. The United States has long considered Greenland crucial for its national security. The Thule Air Base in northern Greenland, now called Pitafik Space Base, has been operating since 1951 and is one of the most important American military installations in the Arctic, hosting advanced missile warning systems and space surveillance radars. In recent years, Washington has dramatically increased its diplomatic presence in Nuuk, opened a consulate, and offered financial aid packages worth tens of millions of dollars to support infrastructure and mining development. All of this clearly shows that the US views Greenland as a critical piece of its Arctic strategy, especially as competition with Russia and China intensifies. China, on the other hand, has been trying for years to gain economic influence in Greenland through investments in mining, airports, and infrastructure projects. Chinese companies have attempted to acquire stakes in major rare earth and uranium projects, which immediately raised alarms in both Washington and Copenhagen. The idea of China establishing a strong foothold only a few thousand kilometers from North America has become a major geopolitical concern, and in several cases, Denmark has blocked Chinese investments under pressure from the United States. Meanwhile, Russia has massively expanded its Arctic military presence, reopening more than 50 Soviet-era bases and deploying new icebreaker fleets, clearly signaling that it considers the Arctic, including areas near Greenland, as a future zone of strategic competition. And while all these nations compete for influence, the ice itself is melting at a breathtaking pace. Greenland is currently losing around 280 billion tons of ice every single year, contributing more than 0.7 millimeters annually to global sea level rise. Since 1992, the Greenland ice sheet has lost over 5 trillion tons of ice, and scientists warn that this rate is accelerating. Beneath the ice, researchers have discovered enormous hidden landscapes, including a gigantic subglacial canyon more than 750 kilometers long, ancient forests preserved for millions of years, and massive underground lakes trapped under the ice. Every new expedition uncovers something astonishingly unexpected, proving that Greenland still holds mysteries we can barely imagine. But unlocking Greenland's wealth comes with enormous environmental risks. Large-scale mining, oil drilling, and industrial activity could cause irreversible damage to one of the most fragile ecosystems on Earth. Local communities worry about pollution, disruption of traditional Inuit lifestyles, and the long-term impact on wildlife. So the world faces a massive dilemma: exploit Greenland's tremendous resources to power the global economy, or protect it as one of the planet's last untouched natural frontiers. What makes everything even more dramatic is that Greenland itself stands at a crossroads of history. A tiny population living on top of possibly trillions of dollars of resources must decide whether to invite global corporations and superpowers in, or to move cautiously and protect their land and culture. Every decision made in Nuuk and Copenhagen over the next decade could shape the balance of power in the Arctic for the rest of this century. So when we ask what is hidden under the ice of Greenland, the answer is far more than just frozen rock. Hidden beneath that enormous white shield are minerals critical for the next technological revolution. Energy resources that could fuel entire continents. Military advantages that could determine future conflicts. Scientific secrets millions of years old. And environmental risks that could affect every human being on Earth. Greenland is not just an icy island. It is a gigantic geopolitical treasure chest slowly being unlocked by climate change and global competition. And the most incredible part is that we are only at the very beginning of this story. As ice continues to retreat and new technology allows deeper exploration, Greenland will become more important with every passing year. In the coming decades, it could transform from a quiet Arctic territory into one of the most valuable and contested regions on the planet. A place where the interests of the United States, Europe, China, and Russia collide head-on. So the next time you see Greenland on a map, remember that beneath that silent frozen surface lies a world of enormous possibilities and enormous dangers. A land so massive in resources and so strategic in location that it might one day shape the future of global power itself. Greenland is no longer just a remote frozen wilderness. It is becoming one of the most important battlegrounds of the 21st century, and the secrets hidden under its ice could decide the direction of our entire civilization. If you enjoyed this deep exploration into one of the greatest geopolitical mysteries of our time, and want more detailed stories packed with facts, figures, and fascinating insights, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss an episode from GeoLens. Because we bring you the stories that reveal how the hidden corners of the world quietly control the future of us all.